Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming to the Mount Olive Township Conference meeting for August 6, 2013. Could everyone please rise for Pledge Allegiance to the flag and take a moment of silence? Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May all be seated. Mrs. Lesh, would you please read the Open Public Meetings Act announcement?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante?
Here.
Mr. Nicastro?
Here.
Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Stazak?
Here.
Mr. Mania? Mrs. Laybow?
Here. Please let the record reflect that Mr. Mania is at home, recuperating from his surgery, and he wanted to thank everybody for the fantastic fruit basket he received today. He said it was really great, so passing that on to everyone. And the first item on our agenda this evening is discussion for the donated leaf program. Leave. Donated leave program.
I have all of my leave.
I'd like to call Timmy Quinn up to our Director of Public Works. There was a shortfall in our policy which was brought to my attention a couple of weeks ago, and I acknowledge of the existence out there of the donated leave program from prior experiences. I did some research and ran it by Jeff and Fred at Dorsey Semrau's office. In a nutshell, and Timmy could probably explain it more, our shortfall in our policy is this. If we have an employee who was here longer than 1 year and they suffer a extensive injury, catastrophic illness, or family member experiences, and they run out of time, yeah, I guess there's shortfalls out there, you know, with AFLAC and other safety nets, but they don't provide the full coverage for somebody's family, especially if they have kids or other dependents that they rely on. The donated leave program allows other employees within the township voluntarily, nobody has to do with this, and there's protections against coercion and threats and that sort of thing, to donate up to 10 days of their time for the affected employee. It's purely voluntary situation, and if the employee is able to get better and they get medical clearance to come back to the township, then that leave is given back to the donatees, and at no point does the township put at a loss from the recipient being able to cash these in at the end of the career, or any type of untoward benefit that they would get. So it's a gap we identified in policy. We've spoken about it. We've gotten legal review. We're comfortable with what we put forth, but I'll let Timmy speak to. It's in his department where it's being affected, and then I'll take any questions on the policy.
Yeah, and basically it's a good policy. There's those of us that do have time available, some that are out for extended periods of time on illnesses or accidents that are out longer than they anticipate, and they just seem to run out of time. Those of us that do have the time, we just wish to help them out and offer some of our time to keep them going, especially if they have families, or regardless. If they're a town employee, we look to take care of our own. We've done it in the past, not often, fortunately, but it has happened, and I think it's a great policy, and I think we need to continue with it.
Mr. Roman?
From years, if I could add one thing, from my years ago as a police officer, I actually, I don't know if it was a cluster or not, but we had three fellow employees pass away from cancer, and one of them took advantage of this policy back in the 90s, and it was beneficial at the time. There was some hope that they'd be able to beat it and come back to work and extend some of that time. Unfortunately, he didn't. But I just had a lot of experiences from about 20 years ago, and I knew of its existence.
Mr. Roman?
So if I understand correctly, the donator donates his time to the recipient, and once the recipient comes back to work and accrues time, it gets sent back to the donor?
No. Basically, it's a one-time give. We'll donate our time to the needed employee, from what I understand, and that's it. We get nothing back, and we're not looking for anything back.
I think what Mr.
They have to burn up all their time first.
Yeah, once they burn up their time.
Yes, they're wiped out. So say if they get 40 days and they're able to come back on 32 days, well, those 8 hours get prorated, or 8 days get prorated back to whoever donated. So if there was 8 people donated, they each get 1 day back.
Right.
If all that time is used up, nothing's given back. The key to this is the employee has to use all their time first. That's all theirs is gone, and it's just prolonging their employment with the hopes that we're going to get a productive, trained, valuable member of our township back. And it's cheaper to get them back. They know how we operate, they're trained to get them back into full work than hiring somebody and getting them up to speed.
Has there any thought been put into it, and also in doing it though, like how I thought might have worked out, where the recipient, when he or she comes back to work, as they accumulate time, it gets given back to the people that donated. That way, I think it would encourage more people to donate, because let's assume I got donated time, and hey, when he comes back, there's a good chance I'll get that time back. Is there any
I'm
thought
not
been put
opposed to
into
that.
that? I mean, I think that would encourage more donation.
I haven't looked into it, I'm not opposed to it, it's not a bad
I think it
concept.
takes a while to accumulate the time, though. I don't,
Yeah.
Is there,
yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got pay differences and things along those lines. I think we kind of try to stay away from that. I think it's a donation, it's goodwill. We're really not looking for anything back. Nobody has to give anything if they don't want to. There are those of us that do have a lot of time, and it's more to help out, not so much for us to get something back.
Well,
As
you get-
Sean said, if they don't use all the time that we've given them, then we'll get that back, but that's the way I'd like to leave it.
Okay.
I'm not
I mean,
opposed to
yeah,
it.
I mean, I'm not, if that's how the employees want, but I just think
I understand
that
what you're saying.
That would be one aspect of which that might encourage more donation. Where
I could amend the policy if council so chooses, we can look into that. If somebody was on a catastrophic illness and ended up, say, using, the full 180 days, I'm not so sure how fast they'd be able to repay that, depending on, their expectancy of employment here. But we could look into that, make it, 10 to 20 days repay per year, if council so desires.
Mr. Stazak?
is there a cap on on who can donate? Like, you have to have X amount of days before you can cap? Or
Yeah,
before-
the
10 days.
sick days, you have to have a balance of 20
At least
before you
20?
can donate, I believe 10. So
Okay.
you have to have a minimum of 20, so you have your own safety net.
So you have 10 left.
And vacation, you have to have a minimum of 12 vacation
Okay.
days, and you can only donate up to 10 days per employee. The maximum the recipient can get is 180 days.
And I think on the, I was just going to say, at my company, Keller Williams, we have a program called KW Care. So when any of the employees have a stress, situation, they will help you out, with financial needs. And then every time you have a closing, a transaction, you have the opportunity to give back. So in going on with what Mr. Roman's saying, like, say if an employee, somebody gave him 10 days, the next year that person has time, and that another person, you just turn around and you give it back. So I think that's how it works when you're giving back. Once you receive, you are going to want to give back if the opportunity arises.
Yeah, I can benchmark if council so chooses and try to find some language that's suitable along those lines where, certain parameters, and they'd be limited to how many they have to give back per year so they're not out again. But I'm intrigued by the concept, and I think it may work to encourage some donations as well.
Mr. Perkins? No? Mr. McCastro?
No, I was just going to say, I think it's a great program. My nephew actually is a cop down in Garfield who got emergency surgery on his intestines and maybe out longer than he needed as a family. And all of them got together to donate. If they need more time, he can actually have another 30 or 60 days if needed. And it's amazing. That's what you say. The family comes together. And
Exactly.
whether we add in or not, it's more, I think it's more of the people that give because they all work together and want to keep everybody.
Yeah, you want
So I
to
think it's a
grow.
great idea because I saw it firsthand this last month how it worked. And it was
Sure.
really,
Yeah, we take care of our own.
yeah, and that's the way it
a
should
big
be.
thing.
It's good.
I think it's excellent. Mr. Perkins?
Thank you, Madam President. I remembered what I wanted to ask.
Oh.
Empirically, Tim, how many times have we had to use this?
In memory, I know of twice, maybe 3 times we've done it over an extended period of time, but we have done it.
And the employees came back to work?
Oh, absolutely, yes. They came back to work with a better step. It's very much appreciated when we do something like that, and it truly is.
I think it's a wonderful idea.
I think so, too. It's excellent. Very good.
Direction of council, would you like to see this again in 2 weeks with some added language, see if I find something for give back? And
I don't think we need to, we could take a straw poll. I don't know that we need to add to it, Mr. Stazak.
I would leave it up to the employees if they want it back.
Yeah.
It's their
I agree.
time, not ours.
I mean, I just
What
brought
Tim
up a
said.
suggestion, and if
Yeah.
if they're not interested in.
Yeah, if,
We can
what
make
what
that
he
part of
said,
the
if
waiver
he's not
part,
looking
too.
for it back,
Right.
I'd leave it alone.
I agree.
Why don't I do this, I'll add a sign off on the donation form if they're interested in having it back, or they can just sign off and waive it.
There you go.
Okay.
Fair
Okay,
enough.
yeah. Keep it simple.
All right, thank you.
Plus, they don't have to give the whole 10 days. I mean, you could have
You can give what
10
you want.
employees give 2 days, and that's all that they need. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be 10 whole days.
You give what you can.
Right.
Like anything else, absolutely.
Sounds good. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have our resolutions. Anybody want to discuss? We have two resolutions that we have, are being amended for the public meeting.
It's the one for the Baptist Church and the one for the nuisance properties. There were 4 nuisance properties added, and the Baptist Church resolution figure was incorrect. It was 21,000. It's 28,000.
No, 21,800.
Okay.
I listed on the res, it was 21,000. The zeros and eights.
Do we have it 21,000 or 28,000?
We have the
correct amount.
The correct amount is in the public meeting file.
I just had a question about the nuisance properties. Mr. Kenning, are these all depressed properties?
I believe they are.
I know I had checked on a couple of them. They are vacant and
Yeah.
short-sailed and,
Yes, Scott Van Ness, our zoning officer's done a very good job in identifying and staying on top of these, but I believe every one of these is depressed properties.
are we currently cutting the grass and doing the exterior maintenance?
No, we
No?
didn't, after tonight with the resolution.
After tonight, we
We'll be
will.
able to put it on the list as a lien.
And then we'll put the lien on the
Yes.
bank. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Anybody else have any questions on resolutions? Mr. Roman?
On the Sustainable Jersey $10,000 grant, in the attachment, that is being used for easement identifications only?
Yeah, conservation easement identification, as part and parcel of that, we'd like to GPS it, we'd like to get them, a better GPS program than what we currently have up onto the web. And as well as, it intersects nicely with our raw seed research, so Chuck McGroarty has to be involved in this. We have a lot of conservation easements, and what has happened is, unless extensive research is done continually, we'd like to kind of get one-stop shopping, get them updated, and onto some GPS identifiable maps where we're able to keep this going, because we have conservation easements going back innumerable years, and they're gonna get lost with time.
Very good, thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Roman?
On the gypsy moth treatment program, will we be alerting residents of what areas would be getting treatment?
Yeah, if it gets to the point where they do an aerial spray, the DEP's offered to do a survey first, and then based upon the survey, if there's state funding, they'll conduct aerial spraying. Again, that's gonna go into 2014 if the state allocates money for it. It's anticipated they're gonna tell us what areas, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to put that message out. But it's incumbent upon the state to notify us, if they're gonna be funded, B, if they're gonna spray, and C is where.
Good, Mr. Perkins?
Yeah, just a clarification on that, Madam President. Last year, this is an annualized thing that, every year goes before the state. We had some complaints at the balance of 2011 for the 2012 program. The state had gone through, they could not identify any quote-unquote drastic infestation areas within the township. Subsequently, there was no real funding that was put into it anyway. So this costs nothing for them to come out, go through the township, kind of earmark if they see where there's some gypsy moth infestations. If there is and funding's available, they will give us a map, and then administration, obviously, we go ahead and notify the residents of the affected areas.
Sounds good. I know they kind of move from year to, you can go a couple years and not have them at all, and all of a sudden you got tons of them, so.
I haven't heard any cicadas this year. Are we pretty happy?
Not in our areas.
No, it's,
So we're lucky, but I've
I
heard of
think they
another.
stayed in Chester, which was good.
They stayed in Chester and Harding and Convent Station.
Yep.
All those other areas. I was glad they weren't in our area. So that was good. Any other questions about any, Mr. Roman?
The last resolution for the turkey lot, the
Tot
tot
lot.
lot at Turkey Brook. Why exactly are we rejecting the bids?
The lowest responsible bidder didn't comply with the necessary requirements in terms of posting a bond and other things which couldn't be waived. And we determined that the best route, rather than go to the next lowest bidder, was to put it out again with the hopes that we would encourage additional bids.
And those mistakes or errors, are they easily fixable?
They're easily fixable, but cannot be waived. Once you
Okay.
submit
No, I'm
the bid
just-
package. Yeah, they were technical errors in terms of the bid response.
So there's a good possibility that the same bidders will be back in,
They absolutely will be back. And whatever technical errors they made in terms of their response will certainly be fixed. But the law requires that we reject their bid. It's not something which can be fixed after the fact.
no. And I believe that's all the
Is that
questions
it?
I have.
Other questions on that? Okay, for our ordinances, we're removing the ordinance for first reading tonight, because it's gonna have some further review. Bring it back in 2 weeks. Is there any old business? Seeing none. Any new business? I'll open the meeting to the public portion. Anybody from the public? Seeing none. May I have a motion to adjourn to the public meeting?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, very good. We are on to our public meeting. Mrs. Lashway, would you please read the Open Public Meeting Act announcement?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flinders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Frante?
Here.
Mr. Nacastro?
Here.
Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Yeah, here.
Mr. Stazak?
Here.
Mr. Mania? Mrs. Laybow?
Here, and also let the record please reflect that Mr. Mania is home recuperating, and we wish him a very speedy recovery. And also, next thing, well, we already had our Pledge of Allegiance at the workshop, and we have our approval of minutes of previous meetings. Mr. Ferrante, would you please move those?
Sure, I move the July 23rd, 2013 workshop, public meeting, and closed session meetings.
Thank
Second.
you. Second. And any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Abstain.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Stazak?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes. We have 15 pieces of correspondence on the agenda tonight. Would anybody like to address any of our correspondence? Seeing none. Our next item, we're going to just deviate a little bit and have a special resolution, because we have our latest retiree here. And so.
Can't believe people are able to retire now at 25. It's unbelievable.
I know, I'm like looking at Colleen and thinking, oh my God, you're too young. So I'm going to ask Mr. Perkins, would you please move the resolution on the non-consent?
Yes, I move for adoption of resolution honoring Colleen Mickelson, Deputy Court Administrator.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. And I would like to read this for you. Resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive honoring Colleen Mickelson for dedicated service to the Township of Mount Olive. Whereas Colleen Mickelson has been employed by the Township of Mount Olive since September 7th, 1988. That's got to be wrong. It's got to be 1998. And whereas since that time, Colleen Mickelson has provided dedicated services to the people of the Township of Mount Olive in the capacity of violations clerk and deputy court administrator. And whereas during her career, Colleen Mickelson has provided outstanding and dedicated service, friendship, and camaraderie to the other departments, fellow employees, and mayors and governing body of the Township of Mount Olive. And whereas Colleen Mickelson has been described as an excellent professional and caring co-worker, and whereas Colleen Mickelson's last day of service to the Township of Mount Olive was July 31st, 2013. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive, Morris County, State of New Jersey, as follows. That the mayor and council hereby honor Colleen Mickelson for her inspiring and dedicated services to the Township of Mount Olive, the citizens and co-workers, and be it further resolved that the Township thanks her for the dedicated, spirited, and caring service that she has provided throughout her career, and wishes her well during her well-deserved and earned retirement from the Township in all in all future endeavors. Ask for a roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Stazak?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Should at least fix the typo. Morris County
Just gonna have to let me know if you're ever renting out the RV, because I can use it for one of my Penn State,
Oh, there you go. I was just going to say, they're going to have a road trip. We're all invited to join them on the RV, and we're going to go across the country. Well, I know on my bucket list for when I turn 60, I want to travel across the United States from here all the way to California. So just let me know which days you're available 4 years from now.
didn't you already miss that milestone, Cully?
Ouch, ouch, ouch. You know, Rob's been picking on me all day today. Thank you very much, and good luck to you. And I know I'm going to miss you. Every time I would come to Town Hall, I'd always see you and wave. So, thank you very much. And I know the department's going to miss you terribly. Very good. So I just wanted to make sure in case if you guys wanted to take off, but you're welcome to stay, whichever.
Can we get a picture with Colleen?
Yeah.
Up on the website?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be nice.
Get everybody together. Can we have everybody?
Come on, Colleen, let's go.
Colleen,
Michelle,
Colleen.
Come on, everybody.
Everybody pile up to the center. Us guys, we can stand right back here. Yeah.
It's the only way I can actually be
You're
seen
tall.
in a picture.
Oh, you should go down the bottom.
Right in the middle.
Everybody pile
That
in.
one Colleen, you should be staying in row.
Naturally, I'm behind the tall guy.
You got everybody?
You got all the guys?
Alice?
Alex.
Congratulations. Good luck to you.
Miss you. You will. We'll miss you.
Felt like you with the corner gloves behind the picture.
Oh, man.
Are you really leaving?
Male and income.
Hope you're not gonna want overtime for that filming, too.
All set here. So the next thing, oops, just gotta move back to our, good night, everybody.
Nice.
Thank you. Okay, I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 20-2013, an ordinance of the Township Council of Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey to amend Chapter 400, Land Use Article 5, Design Guidelines and Technical Standards, Section 75, Tree Removal, Replanting and Forestry Management Plans. Mr. Nacastro, would you please move
Thank
that?
you. I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 20-2013.
Second.
Okay, seeing no one from the public, anybody from the council have any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Stazak?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes. Ordinance number 20-2013 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. All right, I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 21-2013, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive amending ordinance number 20-2012 entitled Salaries of Certain Non-Union Personnel as previously amended by ordinance number 17-2013 and ordinance number 19-2013. Mr. Perkins, would you please move that for us?
Yes, Madam President, I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 21-2013.
Second.
Thank you. Seeing no one from the public, any questions? Anybody from council? Mr. Roman?
What is it that we're amending?
Mr.
Yeah,
Kenny?
there were several salaries in the original one adopted that were incorrect. Off the top of my head, I can't recite that for you, but I know there was some typos that needed correction from back in spring.
So nothing much of substance?
No.
No. Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Stazak?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes. Ordinance number 21-2013 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. Okay, as I state,
Can I speak on ordinance 22-2013, even though we're not hearing
Yes.
it this evening? I
Absolutely.
asked that this be put on perennially. We've had a problem with parking on Glendale and on, what's the name of the street?
Hillary.
When there are tournaments. And if you've ever, it's not just complaints from the neighbors, it really is a safety concern, because if you have people parking on both sides of the street, you're not gonna be able to get fire trucks down the middle of the road. I mean, it's very clear. So what we're asking for is an ordinance, ultimately, that's going to run Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's gonna have parking on one side of the street. And we're trying to inconvenience the residents as little as possible, but achieve what the residents in the area really want. So ultimately, when it's completed and ready to go, we'll bring it back, but that's the gist of the ordinance.
Mr. Roman?
Have we looked into what, since it's here to address the issue of parking from tournaments, and if we eliminate parking on the street, where do we think that parking is gonna get pushed
Look
onto?
further down the road, on the one side of the road. It's not to eliminate parking, it's to eliminate a safety concern that's occurred. So you'll just push people to have to walk another block.
I would also, well, Clover Hill, they park on both sides, but that road is wider, so it's
Yes.
not an issue
It's
there.
not an issue.
Right. I would just like to request if the parking on one side of the road could be on the field side, because my concern would be that if it's on the tennis court side, I'd be afraid little kids would be running across the street. I'd rather have the parking stay on the side where they're going to be accessing it, you know what I mean?
I certainly don't have a problem with that. It really is a police, it would be a police recommendation.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds reasonable to me, but
Yeah.
I don't know what the limitations of the roadways are, and we certainly, the initial impetus went to the police department first to draft the ordinance, because they're the ones with the expertise in terms of parking.
That's what they did
Stays
during
up.
when they put the emergency no parking up. It was the tennis court side, and it worked well.
It worked well.
Yeah, it did.
And you know what, we've had to scramble every time that there's a
Yeah.
tournament. If it's just local games, I think that our on-site parking really does do the trick with parking on the street for a limited distance is fine. It's really to address every year we have this issue.
Mr. Roman?
And I think in order to maximize the parking on, at Dan Jordan, we should line it. Because unfortunately, right now, it's more like, park where you kind of think there's parking. And I think that whole middle area is extremely underutilized.
We'll bring that up with Buildings and Grounds. It's a good suggestion.
One last thing I was going to ask you, at the tennis courts across the street, parking there there's no parking there anymore at all, right?
No, it's on the street.
It's only on the street? Because
Yeah.
there's a large area there, but I don't know if there's no parking because it's wet.
It's
to
not
s-
paved.
It's, I know,
grass.
no, it's not paved, it's grass, but I don't know if it might behoove us to put some road millings there just to add additional parking, since there is a lot of area right there. No? Mr. Stazak?
I don't know if there's enough room for it.
The tennis courts is quite a distance from the road. They might be able to get 10, 15 spots. I don't know, just something to check out just in case.
We'll look at it.
Just in case. Thank you very much. And also the resolution, the ordinance does actually state the Dan Jordan side.
Okay, good.
Our attorney and our clerk pointed it out to me. Thank you. So, we are moving right along here. We already did our non-consent, or we have our other resolutions, 1 through 14. And I'm going to ask Mr. Stazak to please move consent resolutions 1 through 14.
Move consent resolutions 1 through 14 for approval.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, other than what we already talked about? Seeing none, no one from the public wants to address those? Okay. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Stazak?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes. Okay, we did our non-consent resolution number 15 already, and now we have our consent resolutions. I'm going to ask Mr. Nacastro if you would please move our 3 consent motions.
Oh, yeah, no, I move consent motions 1 and 2.
1, 2, and 3. We have an
1, 2, and
amended
3.
agenda. We have,
Oh, okay, I'm looking at the wrong.
yeah,
one.
a solicitor's permit was added on for
Okay.
Ronner Talmadge.
1, 2, and 3.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Any questions? Mr. Bowman?
This is for council. Is it solely the discretion of approving these solicitor's permit? Is it solely up to our discretion, and are we legally bound to approve them if if they meet all the legal criteria?
I'm gonna have to look into that issue and report back to council.
It's a lengthy process to get the solicitor's permit. You get fingerprinted, you have a background check, it goes to the police department first, it takes a couple of months, so.
So, it would not, would we be set up for any legal liability if it were to be denied solely on the purpose, on the reason that,
On the purpose for what they're,
that I don't approve of what they're doing?
yeah,
No, you can't deny it for that reason.
Okay. Then my question's been answered.
I mean, you could always modify the solicitor's ordinance if you wanted to prohibit certain types of activity.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Perkins? No? Alrighty, can I have a roll call, please? Or any other questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Frante?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Abstain on 1, yes on 2 and 3.
Mr. Stazak?
Yes.
Mrs. Labo?
Yes. Administrative reports?
I'll start.
Mr. Mayor?
Gibbeton Braille Trails, there is additional work that is going to be done there. The township with volunteers from Gibbeton, and I believe there are over 100 volunteers that are already signed on to starting to put the bollards in next week. And also Phase 2 is moving forward, and hopefully that will extend the trails significantly, and hopefully that will be in place for next month.
The permit will be, well, phase 1 will be next month, and then phase 2 next spring.
Next spring. So that project is moving forward, and thanks to Gibbeton for taking on that project. It is a big undertaking. As you all know, Restaurant Week is August 11th through the 18th in Mount Olive. Many of the eating establishments, in fact, most of the eating establishments are participating. It's being done through the Economic Development Committee. There was no cost associated with participation by the restaurants, and most of the restaurants are offering specials. So we're asking that the residents take advantage of the eating establishments that we have in town and support this program for everyone's benefit.
Rob, if I could just.
Everything that we can do as elected officials to help advertise Restaurant Week would be greatly appreciated, and I think certainly within the scope of what we're all up here to do, which is in part to help our businesses succeed. Yes.
I saw today on your Facebook page that somebody had questioned which restaurants are, do we have a list?
We will make a list available if it's not already available.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I looked on our website and I didn't see anything, so I was gonna check on that.
In fact, my, the special projects coordinator will be all over that tomorrow.
Good, sounds good.
Okay.
And we'll all look for it and post it on our Facebook pages.
September 21st is Fall in Love with Mount Olive.
Yay!
September 22nd is the second tour to Mount Olive. I wrote it this weekend again. It's quite difficult, but quite exhilarating when completed. It's a 28-mile ride around most of Mount Olive, including the backwoods of the Bud Lake area up near
Crease
Bud Lake
Road?
Heights Road, Crease Road. It goes all the way back through the Oak Hill section and then comes back into Flanders. And this year, for the first time, we have a slew of businesses that are sponsoring the miles, the mile 1, mile 2, mile 3, including, I understand that you, Colleen,
Yeah.
have a mile marker.
Yes, I do.
Mile marker, which is pretty cool. In addition to the 28-mile ride, there are other rides that are available, less strenuous for family-type rides, all starting at Flanders Park. This week, I was fortunate to participate in another grand opening. Ultimate Car Wash and Detail Services is officially open. It's the old Bud Lake Car Wash.
Yeah.
And met with Scott Carpel, the owner, very excited, looking to do great business there, very happy with the amount of vehicles that are coming in every day. And he said, I can't believe how busy Route 46 is.
Yeah.
So I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate the 12 U girls today, although they lost in the semifinals. Mr. Ferrante was telling me that they were actually winning in the 6th inning by several runs. I think it was 5-2, you said? They gave up 4 runs in the 6th inning and lost the game. It's unfortunate, but what a great run for the girls.
Absolutely.
And we'll have to bring them in at some point and certainly recognize their achievement. We still have Momentum shirts. If anyone is interested in purchasing them, they can contact Lisa Pignataro. I don't know if any of you have been up to Turkey Brook this past week, but we finally got the new glass backboards up, and it has made a huge difference in terms of the ability to play up there. The old backboards were, for the most part, cracked or not properly installed in the first instance, and it's reinvigorated the amount of playing that is occurring up there. You should stop up and see what it looks like. Sean and I met with Senator Oroho and Paula Citra last week, I think the 31st of July, and Steve Oroho was interested in how the state could, and his office could be more helpful to us, and we've decided that on a weekly basis we're going to report to him on issues which involve the state, and his office is going to spearhead our effort at the state level. Finally, I'm pleased to report that we have finally resolved the issue with water allocation with respect to the Siemens expansion. And I'd like to thank everyone that was involved in that very strenuous project to provide the information to the DEP. Ultimately, it required help from the governor's office to get the higher-ups at DEP involved in terms of making that decision happen. As part of the approval, they are requiring the town to take additional steps in terms of the way that we manage our flow and report our flow, which is going to work to the benefit of Mount Olive. We'll be able to identify leaks basically on a daily basis rather than to have to wait months at times to figure out that our flow is not appropriate for usage. So, all in all, things are moving forward in Mount Olive. The momentum is continuing to go forward.
Excellent.
Just
Mr. Canning?
Just piggybacking on the DEP requirements, I want to thank Debbie Bonanno from Sherry's office. We spent the better part of the last week implementing one of the DEP requirements. And what we found is, water and sewer captured the data, but there was never any true analysis. There was never any early warning system. Through nobody's fault, it just was never implemented. Debbie and I are both kind of Excel geeks, for lack of a better term. It took us about a week. We wrote an early warning system, which daily the water and sewer people will put in there. Water meter readings, the difference, the tank heights, gallons per meter. Eventually, when we've got some feedback today, we'll be able to identify when pumps are going at different pumping stations. We'll know ahead of time for capital budgeting purposes. But more importantly, instantaneously in Excel, there's a lot of mechanisms that'll flag when over a set percentage above a calculated deviation shows up. We should know within 1 to 3 business days, just by looking at it, where we may have a problem. There won't be the instance of we have a water leak and it doesn't bubble to the surface. It could be flowing conceivably for a month, 2 months, 3 months. And that was one of the things that DEP kind of seized upon to our detriment. So these are early warning systems. We're going to have them in there, and it'll be monitored not only by the water and sewer people, but by Mr. Quinn as well as myself. It's available up on the cloud, up in Dropbox.
I think that's excellent. Also, they're going to do it right from their smartphones, or
They can enter right from smartphones or from the iPads.
Okay.
So, again, that's with our management concept, trying to keep our people in the field and clear calls from there instead of bringing stuff back to the desk. The only other item I have is County Morris is contracted with Keller and Kirkpatrick, who will be holding a public hearing here, or public meeting, informative meeting on August 20th, 5 to 7, and it has to do with the Flanders-Drakestown Bridge by River Road. That's long been up for the train coming through.
Yeah, I think it's raining. I think it's pouring.
raining?
The bridge will be replaced next summer, but planes are starting now. They're starting to notify. It's going to be about a 3-month process. So we're looking forward to that. But the first informative session will be on August 20th.
Oh, maybe it's the air conditioner. I'm sorry, Sean. Excellent.
That project, by the way, is in the middle of the summer. They have not yet finished the balancing, as we can tell, and there's another 4 to 5 weeks left of this project.
Is that our air conditioner that's
That's part of the
making?
HVAC reconditioning. And, the balancing is the final portion, and as we can all tell, it has not been balanced yet. No,
Yeah.
they're just not at that stage yet.
One other issue that I thought of, as everyone has seen, they're repaving Flanders Barton
Yes.
Road, which is really needed.
Yes.
The unfortunate thing is that the turn underneath the railroad trestle as you come back to 206 is really state. So I've directed Sean to get on the state right now to make sure that that portion is gonna be repaved, because it's the county
Yeah.
that's doing the rest of Flanders Bartley. So we're gonna look at, in the worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario, we'll pave it and send them a bill.
Mhm.
It has to
Yeah,
get done.
because that's in bad shape there, yeah.
It's really bad,
It's really bad.
really bad.
Mr.
Just one
Nacastro?
question I had, I apologize if I missed it, but I had people ask me the last few weeks, was there any update on the carnival situation? Because the Facebook post, they wasn't sure, they're asking me if there's any update on it, I don't know if I missed it.
Yeah, the only update that I can give you is that I have asked Dorsey and Semro to pursue an action. Nothing's been done at this point in time, but I need to speak to Fred about moving it forward. Do you have something, Jeff?
I actually am going to address that in my report
Okay.
tonight.
No, there you go.
Yeah, my thought was to put it into special civil part, which is a limited, Jeff will, I don't want to spend a lot of money litigating, but I think that we can serve the purpose by, that's my thought.
Jeff, do you want to address it now? Yeah.
Absolutely. We filed an action since the last council meeting in special civil part in Morris County Superior Court. To echo the mayor's sentiments, we thought that was the best venue because it's kind of streamlined the litigation process. There's less discovery. You kind of get to a resolution quicker that way. So,
Get a trial within 3 months, there's no discovery, it won't cost the town anything to pursue, but I don't like people to trample on us and then to lie about it. So I thought it was necessary to pursue it, and if we spend, $1,500 or $2,000 in the process, it's still worth it, even if we're not successful.
Well, I agree, thank you.
And I think Mr.
Take care. Thanks,
Franti?
Jeff.
Thank you.
Did you, Mr.
Yeah,
Franti?
do we have any updates on the traffic lights at the Village Green and Trade Zone?
Yes, as we did, I was going to bring that up too. That was good.
Eric Anthony from the police department was able to get in touch with the engineers in the North Region. I'm not so sure whether they've responded. From the last email, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they did.
Did they respond?
They had somebody out today
Oh, okay.
at the Village Green, and they called Eric right away, and there was a detector that you were copying that too.
That's right, yes.
That
Yeah, okay.
they had to adjust, and they also said they're waiting for new software that is going to also help to correct that issue. But there was some kind of detector for the vehicles that they adjusted at the Village Green light. So hopefully
It's not
that's.
fixed yet.
No, it's not today.
Oh, it's not fixed yet?
I drove
Okay.
from,
40.
on the way here, I drove from the Trade Zone up 46,
It was
and
a
it's a
mess.
nightmare.
It was all the way.
Yeah, it's.
We'll be back on it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's really bad because, like, in my emails, I mean, since July 22nd was the first time I noticed it, and the traffic is actually backed up onto Route 80, which is very dangerous.
It's really bad, and you're gonna get an email tomorrow from Sean
Okay.
as to his actions tomorrow to
Okay, good.
to reflect the fact that whatever they did hasn't fixed the problem.
Hasn't fixed it.
And we want to know what they're,
And, yeah, and Eric had also said with the state that they promised to let him know from a supervisor to call him when their software came in that was supposed to further fix that problem. But how long can we wait for the software? You can't have cars backing up on Route 80.
You know,
Like
it's
that.
part of the problem with DOT too, that I think they were kind of limited in what their response was going to be, and they recommended notifying the commissioner's office, which we did last week.
Right.
That letter went out to them, but that's one of the bigger problems with DOT is they're too centralized and rigid.
Yeah.
But we'll contact both the commissioner's office and the regional office again tomorrow.
and Senator Oroho.
Right. Yeah, it's a little, it's all of a sudden, and it's way too
It's
serious.
something that can be fixed
Fixed.
easily.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Just needs somebody to fix it.
That's right, and I know you're the man for the job, Rob.
It's not even a money thing.
No, it's not.
Just adjust-
It's an
It
adjustment.
just needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
We'll be all over that tomorrow. Sean,
And-
did you hear that?
I got
Yeah.
it. Notes.
And I want to thank, it was Mr. Urish, Dave Urish, who had sent an email to the mayor, and the mayor immediately asked Mr. Kenning to address it, and Mr. Kenning got our police department on it, so within 2 weeks, everybody's like working as quickly as we can to resolve that issue, and I think that's absolutely wonderful. We have a very responsive government, so we're very fortunate. Thank you very much. It's great. So, any other administrative reports? All right, seeing none. Old business. Anybody have any old business? Seeing none. Any new business? Seeing none. Legal matters. You have any other legal
Nothing
matters?
else to report on
Nothing else? Okay. And we have council reports. Mr. Ferranti, would you please give your reports?
The only report, library meets next week, and we got the report on the lake treatment. It's the usual suspects, the milfoil and curly leaf pondweed. It's
Curly.
been treated. That's all.
Alrighty. The usual suspects. They keep going. Mr. Mania is not here this evening, and we're going to ask Mr. Castro for your reports.
Nothing to report yet.
Alrighty.
Quiet.
And Mr. Perkins?
Nothing to report, Madam President.
Okay, and Mr. Roman?
MOJ MFA has officially started their rec football season. Practice started August 1st, so fall must be around the corner. And just to jump back onto what the mayor said about the Mount Olive 12U, they were actually going, they went into the 6th inning leading 5-3. And unfortunately, because in that level of play, you're limited by time. You can't start a new inning after an hour 45. So in the 6th inning, they gave up 3 runs, and time had run out in order to start another run. They are ranked 3rd in the country. If they would have won this, they would have been in the World Series for their bracket. So even though it was a tough loss, you got to give it to those girls. I mean, to make it all the way down there.
Excellent,
And that is all I have.
excellent. Mr. Stazak, MOTV?
Yes, Alex, if they have any video from the softball games?
Yeah, I had,
Maybe get it to
I
Lisa?
had, I had requested from Mr. Borzan, one of the coaches
Post it.
there, that if anybody had any video from any of the games, to get it to us as soon as possible. We would love to highlight them.
And moving forward, our next meeting is in September.
Also, I want to say the MOTV Facebook page where they keep putting pictures up. Who does that? Do you know, or you can't say?
Jamie Golly.
Oh, okay.
sorry.
I mean,
Hi,
it's,
Jamie.
it's like, it's really cool because
She's very creative with that.
yeah, you try and you figure out where, because there was a couple, I saw some sections the other day I wanted to take pictures, but I wasn't sure who to send it to. And I actually got 2 right the other day. I got more wrong than I got right, but it's a lot of fun to try and figure out where these little intersections are. And actually, the one I was so frustrated that I couldn't figure out, the hint was that she had left Town Hall and had gone towards Tins Road, and it was on this section here. I actually had to come over here and drive up and down till I found the spot because it was driving me crazy. Like, where is it? So, but I think it's really interesting, and I think it helps people to really take a little bit more notice of our town and get some history in there. So it's excellent. As far as my next report is for TNR, and I would like to say that the hoarding case that the TNR and our animal control officer have been working on is almost completed, and we are just about finished with that. I think there's 1 more or 2 more cats, I think, and there was like 30 all total. There was 1 that was removed this weekend. Because the house was in such bad shape, the cat was so infested with fleas it actually was anemic because of all the fleas. So, and I do want to thank the Black River Veterinary Hospital, who's been really great helping us out with all of this. So we're almost at the end. So it's been a very trying situation. Also, TNR is running their Stretch Your Mutt fundraiser, and I have mine posted on Facebook. Anybody wants to make any donations to help us with all of the work that we do, trying to help out with all the cats. And also, it's not just the feral free roaming cats. They help residents who need vaccinations and spay neutering. So it's a complete overall effort. And Mr. Canning and Mr. Nelson is working on Eagle Rock Village, trying to get them on board. We're having some issues with cats from there, so hopefully we'll bring them on, and we will.
I'm hoping Mr. Nelson has better, I've met with him twice personally over the last year and a half, so I'm hoping Mr. Nelson has a little bit better success. As
Yeah.
charming as I am, I don't seem to be breaking through.
Yeah, it is the only apartment complex in town that has not allowed TNR onto their premises to do the cat TNR and to, correct the situation. And TNR repeatedly gets calls from residents, kittens being born, kittens under the buildings, and for whatever reason, the management has not been cooperative. And it's crazy because what happens is it's costing all of us a lot of money because our animal control officer has to answer calls, the TNR group has to go out and trap, and then the cats have to get, the ones that the residents will collect the kittens and call TNR, and then they take them, and then they have to go and have them spayed or neutered. Then you got to adopt them out, and all of this can be eliminated if they would just allow the TNR process on their property, so it'd save all of us a lot of money. So it's really frustrating all the way around for everyone, because every call we get costs us money too. So, anyway, that's all I have to say with TNR this evening, and I'm going to open it now to our public portion. Anybody from the public have any? Seeing none, close it to the public portion. Council comments. Mr. Ferranti.
Nothing.
Mr. Nacastro.
Nothing.
Mr. Perkins.
Nothing.
Mr. Roman.
Nothing.
And Mr. Stazak. Nothing. And I just want to say, I think for all of the council and the administration and the mayor and the township employees, we wish Mr. Mania well and a very speedy recovery. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.